right into it. Stuff and Nonsense is a game developed by Chap Hop artist Professor Elemental. If you don't know what Chap Hop is, or if you don't know Professor Elemental, just do a quick search on YouTube and you'll find his stuff. It's proper English grammar and etiquette set to club beats and rap and hip hop. It's pretty cool. It's pretty different. And it has a big appeal to retropunks, steampunks, and dieselpunks. He's mostly in the steampunk community, but I know a lot of dieselpunks that really dig Chap Hop as well. And this game was created by him and adapted by Cheapass Games, who provided this copy for review. Now, if you don't know what dieselpunk is, some of you might be saying, well, Johnny, what's dieselpunk? Dieselpunk is the fusion of the art, style, fashion, and culture of the 1920s through the 1940s, mashed up with contemporary technology, science fiction, fantasy, alternate history, magic, future tech, and a healthy dose of counterculturalism. And that's what dieselpunk is. So if you're into that aesthetic, you're going to love this game. It's really pretty simple to play. The rules come on a single legal size sheet folded into fourths. So the instructions, the rules are pretty short. However, I've got to take issue with Cheapass Games because I don't know who they write these game instructions for, because there's some vagary afoot. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But it is pretty easy to learn, and it is pretty quick to play. Now, here's the premise. You are an adventurer. Sort of. Actually, you and your friends are cowards who never leave the safety of London. Instead, you sneak around the outskirts of the city, collecting evidence of your many imaginary adventures far and wide across the globe. Then you return to the Adventurers Club and spin fantastic lies about the places you have never been. Professor Elemental might be impressed if he weren't so busy trying to stop you. That's the premise. Let's go to the game board right now. All right, guys and gals, this is the setup for Stuff and Nonsense. And it is basically a board game without a game board. It's played with cards, and several cards, like the antique shop, the newsstand, the pub, the junk shop, the gift shop, the cafe, and then the market and the Adventurers Club make up the locations that you move around London. The 6 cards around the edge form a wheel. The Adventurers Club and the market form the spoke in the wheel. And each card is 1 space. And on each turn, you can move 1 space. As you go around the wheel, you can only go in that direction. However, from any of these cards, you can move into the Adventurers Club or into the market. And from the market, you can go to any other card, or from the Adventurers card, likewise to any other card. And there are reasons to do that, and we'll get into that. Now, you'll notice with each of the locations, there are some ancillary cards. These cards are basically your story cards, your evidence cards of your story. So the antique shop has artifacts. The cafe has anecdotes. The gift shop has photographs. The junk shop has specimens. The pub has heroes that you are going to meet and steal their stories. And the newsstand has facts. And at the beginning of the game, 8 of these cards are laid out to the corresponding location cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need 1 more to make 8. And so we'll do a news story right there. The rest of the location cards go in a draw deck that can be set off to the side and used as a discard deck. every time someone picks up a card, as they move, you put another one down. Then on the edge here, I've got the exotic location cards. And these are going to be where your imaginary story allegedly takes place. So here's how this game works. It's really easy. All you do is you start anywhere you like. You put your piece anywhere you like. And when you land on a card or a location, you take a card, a story card, and like this one says, mystery remains. And along the card, let's show you right here. So I get 2 points if I tell a story using this card in Africa. I get 1 point for Mount Everest, no points for China or the South Pole, and 1 point for the Amazon. And you see they have corresponding symbols right here that correspond to those points. So right off the bat, I might be wanting to tell a story based in Africa because I get the most points there. So I'm going to be looking for cards that boost my Africa story. And right off the bat, there's only one other one. So my next move might be to the pub to collect this adventurer card. And this is Lester Moore. And the other characters, they move around the board and they collect their story cards. And I forgot to put out the replacement cards, so we need 3 more out. And let's see, this is a photograph. This is another hero at the pub. Let's see what else. Third one, another hero at the pub. Now, what's really great is in a minute, you're going to tell a story based on these cards. And you can tell your own story, or each card has a story suggestion on it. And so you can tell the story that is suggested, or you can make up your own. It's really up to you. So let's say I want to tell a story in Africa. Well, for Africa, I need to have 2 cards, which I have. So at this point, I can tell a story in Africa. Now, the first time I tell a story, Africa is worth 4 points. So I might tell this story. The story of Lester Moore. The story that Lester Moore died locally in a hilarious gambling accident is, of course, a clever ruse intended to conceal his key role as the first mate on my adventure to Africa. And in Africa, we were seeking the remains of a long-deceased king, or maybe another ill-fated explorer. It remains a confounding mystery, an even more pointed one, now that only his pinky remains. And so based on that, I would win those points. I got to back up. I forgot. You can only tell the story when you go into the Adventurers Club. And when you go into the Adventurers Club, you have to tell a story. So I would have to do that first. I tell that story. Now, I could have used the story suggestions on the cards, or I could have made up my own. It really doesn't matter. Once I get those points, so I get 1 point, 3 points, 4 points for Africa, those cards are discarded and are out of play. And this card now gets turned, and the next value is 3 points. So it decreases in points when somebody uses it. Now, the game comes with a die, and you'll notice these matching die on the locale cards, on the exotic place cards. This is what I was talking about, the vagary in the instructions. I have no idea why you roll a die or what these die symbols mean. We've been using it as a house rule so that if you roll the same number, you get those 2 additional points. So if I rolled a 2 that matched, I would get the 2 additional points. I don't know that that's correct, but that's how we're playing it. Because again, the rules are very vague, and when you look up how to play this game, Elsewhere, it's different. Every reviewer has a different way to play it. So that's our house rules. Now, the other element here is Professor Elemental, who moves around the board. So when I laid this card down, Buster the dog, there's a 2 arrow. That 2 means that if there are 2 or fewer players, so 2 players or less, that Professor Elemental will move 1 space. And he moves onto the space of another player. And if he moves where you are, or conversely, if you move where he is, you have to give up one of the cards in your hand or lose a point for every card in your hand when you tell your story. So he moves around as cards are being put down. So like this one, if there are less than 8 players, he would move a space. Same with this card, less than 2, less than 2. And that's how he moves around the board and kind of disrupts the activities. And that's really how simple this game is. It's a simple game. It's really easy, and if you're a storyteller, if you're a creative person, it's a lot of fun. My daughter and I, we adored this game. My son, not so much. My son is into very hard, concrete principles. My daughter is more into the abstract, creative mode. And if you've got a group of creative people, storytellers, writers, actors, this can be a lot of fun because you could actually create a character, play the character. You know, I could be Professor Balthazar Bennett and tell my tale with a dripping accent that isn't quite British and isn't quite American or vaguely European. So you could have a lot of fun with this. And that's really where the fun comes in. It's simple enough to play, to move, to collect cards. And there is strategy because you want to collect the most, the cards to get the most points. The winner is the player with the most points. So 2 players, 80 points. 3 players is 60. 4 players is 50. 5 players or more, 40 points. The first one to get to those points wins. And you do it by telling the stories. That's really it. What's really nice is this small, compact box. It's just the card deck and the tokens. And you can take this literally anywhere you go. Throw it in a duffel bag, going on vacation or to a convention. Great game to play at Comic-Cons. And it's going to appeal to anyone who's into that retro, adventurer type of aesthetic. You Indiana Jones fans, you're gonna love this. You Sky Captain fans, this is up your alley, so to speak. So I highly recommend it, and check it out.